Hey, this is Nelson Lee. I play the Chancellor in Mulan, Disney's new live-action movie coming March 27th. Sitting here with Elias and Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to the party, pal!
You're my boy, Blue!
Yo, Adrian!
A podcast with interviews of amazing guests from the world of pop culture.
Oh, yeah!
TV.
Nice!
Movies.
Oh, I love the movies!
Comedy and more. From deep inside the Man Cave, your host, Elias.
Nelson, welcome to the cave.
Thanks so much for having me.
How are you, man? What's new with you?
Not much, man. Just recovering from last night. Just had the big premiere for Mulan, which was epic and amazing. I'm still kind of like reeling from it.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a late night, so I apologize for my raspy voice.
It's okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, you've been busy the last few years. You've done a few, various TV shows. You were on Sneaky Pete. You've done The Blade. You've been busy, man. I mean, after the research I was doing to you, do you ever sleep?
Not lately. But yeah, no, it's been good, man. It's been a good little ride lately.
Yeah. So I want the listeners to get to know a little bit more about you. Where are you originally from?
Originally, I was born in Taiwan, and I lived there until I was 5, and I moved to a small city in eastern Canada called St. John, New Brunswick. Tiny little place. I'm sure most people don't know it. If you know it, you get points. And I lived there until I went to university in Toronto. And then from Toronto, I moved over to New York, and then I lived there for like 10 years, and now I've been in LA for 13, which is crazy.
So growing up in Canada and Toronto and everything, like, did you know you wanted to get into the acting world?
You know what's funny? I mean, I always loved acting as a kid, but I never ever considered it as a career, mostly because I just kind of didn't have the guts to say that, try to do something. It seemed impossible and, too difficult to even try to use as a real profession. But yeah, and over the years, it finally wore down to knowing that was the thing that I wanted. And you had to just kind of get my guts up and just like try to do it. And I'm glad I did. It's real hard and it takes a long time. Yeah. When you get to do it, it's amazing.
How did you know you wanted to get into it? Was there like a certain movie or TV show you were watching one day and you're like, this is what I want to go do?
I was living for a little bit in Europe. I was in Prague, and I had this like beautiful, bohemian life. I was having a great time. I was like left behind these jobs. I used to work at Microsoft, shit like that. And then, but I worked there, and then I went to Prague, and I was hanging out in Prague, and I had this great time. And it was there that I started thinking about what really made me happy. And I kind of went back over my life, and I just thought about the times where I performed, and that's where I kind of zeroed in on, I just got to do this. And I applied for acting school in New York, got in, and that's it.
So how was it taking acting classes?
It's crazy, it's kind of what you think. Like, I remember the first day I got into the class, my teacher's like, go wash your hands. Like, we all had to go and wash our hands. I was like, what the hell did I just pay for? But then you're like pretending to be an animal and doing crazy things. But it's, in the end, it's amazing. And when you give over to it, it's really powerful. It's kind of like going to therapy.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, why do you say that?
Just because you have to explore. Because when you're acting, you kind of realize that the things you do, it kind of mimics what you do in life when you're pretending to do something. You start learning little things that you fall on, tricks that you do, and you try to break those down. So it actually makes you a more honest person in real life, which seems completely ironic when you think about it. Acting makes you more honest. But yeah, I think it does.
What would you say was the best experience going to school and acting classes? What do you think was the best experience you had?
I mean, I got to say one of the best was just being in New York itself. I mean, that school in and of itself, just being in that city. I love that city, and I will always love that city. But I guess one of the other ones, just probably one of the first plays that we did, Angels in America, was just one of these amazing, epic stories. And that was probably the first time when I was in school where I was like, oh, yeah, no, this is it. This is what I love. And I loved it. Just, it was an amazing feeling.
Mm-hmm. Did you know you wanted to get into the TV and movie world, or at first you were like you wanted to stick with theater?
Coming out of acting school, you think you know everything, and you realize you know nothing. But so when I came out, I was like, maybe I'll do Broadway, maybe I'll squeeze in a couple of movies. I fast forward to bartending jobs, but you kind of fall into it. You're in New York, so there's lots of television, a lot of films, and so you kind of just went out. And back then too, there weren't a ton of plays that were hiring Asian male actors, you know? And so it's changed today, which is amazing. The amount of playwrights by people of color for Asians, it's completely changed the game. But back then, yeah, so we kind of fell into doing TV, and I was lucky. I came out of school and kind of went right into doing stuff on Oz and Law and Order. So
Oh, wow.
it was great. Yeah.
So while you were attending school and everything, what was like after you finished everything, what was your first gig that you got? Do you remember?
My first gig was Law and Order. It's funny.
Really?
My first gig was Law and Order SVU.
And that gets filmed in New York. That was getting filmed in New York, right?
Oh yeah, that was in New York. Yeah, everything I did was in New York. Because then shortly after that was Oz. I did a recurring character on Oz, which was also illuminating. And that was before I understood what editing was. Like I had whenever back then, I just acted every time they said action. Like I had no idea that the camera wasn't on me. Like I'd be off camera and I'd be doing it because I didn't get it. I was like, oh, it's cool. I'll just do. I'll just be on nonstop. But yeah.
So out of all those shows that you've done and everything, what do you think has been your favorite?
I mean, it's tough, right? You know, it's kind of like every time you do one, you're like, oh, this is the favorite, and then this is the favorite. But as far as like, you know, most rewarding, I mean, obviously Mulan right now just recently was this epic thing that I've never been a part of.
Yeah.
The scale of it is something that I hope to duplicate, but you know, if I didn't, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just so grand. But when I think about a movie that I put a lot into, like the movie All Saints, where I portrayed this Burmese kind of leader, that was really special just because of the journey that I went on with that character and meeting with the real person that I was portraying, seeing what he did with his community, how much he meant, how much he saved that entire community who's been in civil war for 40 years. That was just a really rewarding process. That was powerful.
All right, yeah. So let's talk about Disney's Mulan. You said last night was like was last night the premiere?
Last night was the world premiere. Yeah. It was indeed.
So tell us tell us about that, about the premiere.
Sure. I mean, you know, at the Dolby Theater, you know, you're basically at the Oscar stages, and you get on the carpet. It's amazing. It was just really overwhelming, actually, and just not to be a goofy smile on because you're just like taking it all in. But it was really rewarding to see like this huge theater full of people celebrating what we had put into over 2 years ago. We wrapped shooting 2 years ago, and to finally see it being watched by audiences, listening to their responses, listening to them laugh, hearing them, you know, get sentimental and crying. It's so rewarding after all the work that we did. And I think people are going to love it.
So tell us about your audition for the movie.
Sure. I mean, I think we went in like 3, 4, I think 5, maybe 5 times for this. And it spanned like about a year. The process was long because I think it was hard for them to assemble this cast because this cast is stellar. And I think they did the right thing by taking that long and, you know, being patient. But yeah, I had forgotten about it when I got the call. Like I literally, when they told me about it, that I booked it, I had to ask like, for what? I had no idea what they were talking about because it'd been so long ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I proceeded to scream and jump up and down.
So you play the Chancellor. How?
Yeah.
Well, you know, before we even talk about that, this was like Disney's first live action remake that got a PG-13 rating too.
Exactly. And I think that's great. I know some people are going to be like, oh, no, what? But I think it's a brave move. I think this entire revisioning of Mulan is brave.
Yeah.
I think it's a great forward step for Disney and for, you know, and I'm going to give it to Nikki Caro, the director. It's her vision. But yeah, I think it's great to kind of step it up a notch and not just always stick to PG. You know, it's going to be great.
Yeah. When you got the role, did you go back to watch the cartoon movie version?
You know, it's funny. No, I always say this, and it's funny because I had never seen it.
Yeah.
When I auditioned, when I did the movie, when I got it, I was like, I'm not going to watch it till after because I didn't want to have anything in my head. And then, you know, a few months after we wrapped, I watched it. I was like, oh, I was like, that's very different. So it's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
That was actually my next question. Like, how different is it between those two?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I think the whole thing is quite different, but I think even without that, it's still the essence is still in the same kind of DNA as the original animated classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite different.
So you play the Chancellor. How would you describe the character that you played?
Well, the Chancellor is the Emperor's most trusted advisor. His right-hand man. He's very stern and just kind of stoic. And yeah, he's the mind and the hand of the Emperor.
How did you so when you got the role? Like, how did you prepare for the role? Like, what kind of research did you do?
Obviously, we kind of looked at things of the era and the different dynasties. I thought of like older movies that I'd seen in dealing with Tang Dynasty kind of era, and just kind of went from there and just went off of stuff that I grew up watching with my parents, kind of old Chinese soap operas where it was set in these kind of times. But yeah, and really just going over the script. That's always the thing, right? Just looking at the words and just thinking about it. And then when you get there, honestly, when you put on those costumes that Bina, the costume designer made, were just amazing. You put that on, you step onto these stages that they built with so much detail. You almost don't have to do anything. You literally just gotta just open your mouth and just go, and you're good. Because it's all that work is done for you when you see that, and when you watch it, you'll see. Like you think it's a lot of CG. It's that's the funny thing. Some of the sets and the backgrounds are so beautiful. It looks CG. It actually looks like it, but it's real. It's all real.
Where was this filmed?
We shot mostly in New Zealand, North and South Island, and parts of China as well.
Wow.
But yeah, most primarily we shot in New Zealand.
So when I watched the trailer, I noticed there was a lot of like, fighting scenes and everything. Like, did you do any training for any of your scenes?
Sadly, like as we were there, all the other guys, we were all obviously staying in the same place in New Zealand. They all had training, and I tried so hard to get on, but because I'm the Chancellor, all I do is hang out with the Emperor in his throne room. So there's not a lot of fighting. But I kept trying to get them. I was like, come on, guys, let me go like ride horses at least. They're like, nope. I was like, sure. But yeah, everyone else got ripped while I was just like hanging out.
What do you think was your biggest challenge portraying this character, like connecting with him?
Just it's one of these things when you feel the weight, even though I hadn't seen the original, you feel the weight of knowing that there's a character that you're going to be compared against. Yeah. So I guess that was the thing, to really put that out of my mind and just make sure I was doing the thing that was true to me and true to what Nikki wanted for the film. And just to find that kind of grounded reality that she was looking for this.
How would you describe the vibe like on the set?
Amazing. The great thing about the set is, the fact that it was a primarily female-driven set, from director Nikki to the DP Mandy to the AD Liz to costume designer Vina. Like it was, and because of that, and it's so suited for the fact that this is a story about a young woman's journey, to have that complete woman ensemble back in the background too, running the set, made a huge difference. Like it just felt safe, creative. It was wonderful. It's funny, you get on the second unit and you be working with the guys and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. This is the energy. Not that it's bad, it's just different.
How would you describe the chemistry between the cast and everybody there?
It was a love fest. We just loved each other. It was family. It felt like family, I felt like brothers and sisters, and just, everyone took care of each other. Everyone truly loved. There was no little silly kind of gossip or drama, which you get sometimes on these sets. And that's refreshing. And it just lends itself to making the whole thing feel that. Like when you watch it on screen, you see it. You feel the bond, like the bond of the guys, of the crew with Mulan. That's real, you know? It's because that's us bonding offset as well. And it makes life so much better, as opposed to like, oh no, I hate that person, which does happen. We're lucky to have a set that everyone just truly got along, and it was great.
Without spoiling, was there like a certain scene that hit you, like made you feel like even more special that you were part of this?
Any which?
Was there like a moment while you were filming, or a scene that it really hit you in the heart? This like you were so excited that you were a part of this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's many scenes that I got to shoot that I was like thinking that, but there's one in particular. I was just up on this big scaffolding, and it's like all kind of green screen with this amazing background around, and I was just kind of on top by myself, just looking down. They're speaking to me over this like God speaker, and there's this big camera move sweeping up, and I remember I was like, wow, this is like crazy. You know, it just dawned on you, hit you for a second, like, I'm in Mulan. Like, I'm in Mulan.
That's
and I'm about to shoot this scene. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You kind of forget sometimes, like, wow. And it's good that you can like kind of separate, but then sometimes it's good to also acknowledge that, yeah, this is happening. Like, this crazy shot is about me. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's gotta feel special too that, you know, you're part of the Disney world now, like the Disney family also.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great family to be a part of, you know? And they take care of us. It's a real honor. And to follow in the footsteps of all these great legends, hopefully we live up, and I think we do. At least everyone else does.
When's the official release for the movie?
March 27th.
Okay.
March 27th is the official release. So, yeah, hoping that stays on track.
Yeah, and I assume after the release, about a year from now, it'll probably be available on Disney Plus also.
Yeah, I'm sure. Who knows? It might even be available sooner.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they run that, but Disney Plus is taking over.
Yeah, there you go. So, what's next for you now that after the movie? Any other projects?
Well, right now I've got my other show is about to premiere on the CW May 12th, Stargirl.
Stargirl, that's right.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah, where I'm playing a supervillain, which is kind of funny. It's a lot of layers of clothing again, but not as regal. But so we got that dropping on May 12th, and then hopefully soon we find out, and we'll see if we go back into that. And apart from that, the usual kind of getting out there, we're back to the grind and auditioning.
Yeah. How fun is it being part of that CW family with the superhero shows?
Yeah, I mean, it's great, and I think our show's going to be really special. It's an awesome, amazing ensemble cast. Jeff Johns created it. It's really interesting, and our characters are great. The Justice Society, the Injustice Society. It's a part of DC that hasn't been shown on television yet. Well, not in its entirety. They've had some cameos on the CW shows like Arrow and Supergirl and stuff like that. But yeah, it'll be nice to have us our own little spot. And CW is another kind of crazy family to be a part of.
Oh yeah. So when you're not working, what do you enjoy doing in your downtime?
Just in LA, just hanging out with friends, going to eat. Just eating is a huge thing to me. I love just going to restaurants, eating, just traveling around, trying to get back home to Canada every now and then to see my family, see my mom, and just chilling. The great thing about Los Angeles is you can just chill. I haven't been able to hit the mountain to go snowboarding yet because it's been really warm. So the conditions haven't been great, but yeah. Hope to get that, do that soon, but yeah.
You mentioned Canada. Is Stargirl filmed in Vancouver too?
No, I know everything is.
Everything is.
Stargirl, yeah, I know. Stargirl is actually shot in Atlanta.
Wow. Because I know most of those CW shows are filmed in Vancouver.
Exactly, a lot of them. Vancouver. I think some are even shot in Toronto. But this is a little different. We shot in Atlanta on the stages, and it was great. Atlanta's such a fun city to film in, and as you know, everything is shot there now.
Oh yeah.
From all the Marvel stuff is shot over there, so it was fun to be on those stages. Although in that costume in Atlanta in the summer, it was not forgiving. It was not fun sometimes.
Oh, so you filmed Stargirl? You filmed Stargirl last summer, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
We filmed there all throughout the spring and summer. Yeah.
Oh wow. So, lastly, how can the listeners find you on social media?
First of all, I suck on social media, so if anyone wants to come on board, there's plenty of room. But yeah, my Instagram handle is Malenky, Malenky. And I think Facebook is just my name, and Twitter is, I think, the Nelson Lee. Right. I love how to say I think because I'm not sure. You guys tell me.
There you go.
But there's a whole bunch of pictures of the Mulan premiere, so you'll know it's me.
Nelson, this was fun. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elias.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap, everybody. That's a wrap.
Thanks for listening to the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
I finally get my man cave.
You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the MCC Podcast and our website, themccpodcast.com. Until next time.